You always wish you could bottle specific nights because the Red Rocks show so perfectly encapsulates what the tone of the album was. I feel like a late bloomer in the stage presence world, and I think it's pretty important to remember I may have written the song that we're all singing, but that song is no longer about me at all as soon as we're all there.
On August 12th this year, you finished your US tour in one of the most iconic and picturesque, beautiful venues ever. I want to say created, but it was already there. They just put seats in it.
I know.
You know,
it's amazing.
And you got to, what I can only imagine, and you tell all of us, fulfill just the dream of all dreams to go and play at Red Rocks. And we were lucky enough to film it and keep it forever.
Yeah, no, I thank you for doing that, because it was one of those things in real time. We were all kind of walking around touching all the rock and trying, climbing up all the seats. And during sound check, all of us were, especially because it was closing out what's been a long stretch, we wanted to kind of burn it in our brains, and thanks to you guys, we get to literally look back on it for the rest of time.
It's so beautiful to watch and to experience, not just because it's shot beautifully and you and the band are just at absolute peak performance level because you have so many miles under your feet and you know each other, and there's the celebration of knowing that all things are temporary, and this particular experience of touring the US on this album, which has no doubt changed your life, is coming to a natural close. But also just the joy that you had in throughout the entire experience. It was clear that you were trying to take in as much as possible.
Absolutely. I think it's I think because of the times we're living in, it feels really obvious when there is true light. And that's what was so life-changing about this tour. Obviously, it's touring feels like training, and the cool thing that I'm learning now after this long stretch, being back in the studio again, is you actually can apply these skills. It both inform the other, but really more than anything else, it's the thing that I'm carrying from all the shows that we were lucky enough to play this year, is the kind of unabashed joy and from the audience.
Well, also because
they hold each other.
They do, literally and figuratively, spiritually, holistically. The whole thing is just one big collective celebration, even through the sad moments. We're experiencing this together. And we'll talk more about that soon, because I really want to get into sort of the experience of you singing these songs you've written for yourself, shared with others, and then watching them sing them back to you is a wild thing. But, in relation to enjoying the moment, I think often people confuse the idea of touring hard would actually have the opposite effect. You become more detached because it's just second nature. But does that allow you more space because you trust your band and they trust you and you're in a good rhythm? It's almost like a second language at that point, that you get to actually, for the first time, step back and go, wow, I can actually witness this and not just be super focused.
Yeah, I think it's both. I think it can be both. It is both things. There's the kind of earned trust and respect and love that you have for the people that are the reason the show happens in the first place. Every single one of our crew, everyone on stage, and then everyone in the stands. It's the specific alchemy of each of those people being there every single night so makes up the spirit of the show in a way that you always wish you could bottle specific nights, because you're just lucky enough to experience these examples of God, that barricade that night, those 50 people didn't know each other, but by the end of the show, they had mixed around and were all clutching to each other. So that piece is pretty remarkable to me. Again, I think because of how uncertain and devastating our world is right now, to see these tangible examples of joy being like almost an act of resistance in this moment, where people are able to, for 3 hours, either distract or recharge so that they could go about the rest of their lives.
And experience community.
Yeah, exactly.
Which, to me, again, not to derail this conversation, but to pick up on what you're saying and to as a form of agreeing with you, division is a tactic.
Yeah.
And
distraction is
100%. Yeah. And unity and the reason to come together, all walks of life. There are going to be some people at your shows. There were some people at Red Rocks who don't agree with some people in row C. And yet, for that moment in time, music and you are the unifying factor.
I think the storytelling element of this whole thing that we all get to do, even down to like the conversations we're having, I think like music that's where I'm finding such value in it right now at this point in my life. I always have, but like I think it's pretty important to remember that, like at these shows, for example, I may have written the song that we're all singing, but that song is no longer about me at all as soon as we're all there, you know what I mean? Because the way that people physically
we
lean
bring him into our lives.
Yeah, and that's why I, like, what you're kind of saying, I think that like focus or like the autopilot that you can slip in. I have a complicated relationship. I think coming down from tour, there is something that you can get into this autopilot zone that I think like for me has sometimes manifested in feeling like literally like I'm floating a foot above my body, sometimes like a little detached.
Yeah, like it's too performative.
Yeah, like it's just an unnatural experience to even if you love it with your entire heart and soul, like I don't feel like being a performer isn't, I'm not like a vocalist. Like these are things I'm learning how to like embody, and I feel like I've learned a lot through this past album cycle about things that like really keep me embodied, and then other aspects that contribute, I think, more so to that like mild dissociative state. Yeah. But even on days where I'm really feeling up here in a way that's like, I don't mean like I feel awesome. I like in a way that I feel a little detached from myself.
Aside.
The experience of watching people express themselves loudly amongst strangers is what makes me excited to go do it again.
Well, you are a vessel, and I mean that as a compliment. You're a vessel for the songs, and the songs become an experience. And if you find the energy and the ability, you go and share that experience with people. But I love the idea of us all just being vessels for what moves us and a reason to share.
I agree.
Human beings really are just an excuse to try to come together, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
And share moments. It's a tour that changed your life. This album changed your life. And I don't mean that in a scary, dramatic way, like in a great way. Like that's not to say that it happened like that. Anyone who's a Gracie Abrams fan knows that you've been steady building this foundation upon which you could create an album to put upon that foundation, and people would know exactly who you were at that moment in time. But that's who this album is. What this album and who this album is like, as of right now, until you make the next one, probably the most realized version of yourself. And so it must have been pretty amazing to go out there and realize that people loved the real you.
It's so interesting. Yeah, I think it's like, I keep remembering like having this thought every time that we've spoken, that, and I think there's something that's like mild, like recency bias a little bit with things that you make, right? Like, I do absolutely.
And you're not on mushrooms right now, right? Just to be really clear.
No, I'm not on mushrooms, I promise. I'm here. It's pure me. I feel very much like, I think because the album cycle is like done now. And this is the third week being off the road where I'm like starting to have, like slowing down physically is like aiding the process to just literally like process all of what it was. I do think, yes, I guess in short, that was an exact kind of representation of where I was at then. Like that felt really true. And I felt like that was true for the writing process of the album. And I do have this experience, and I always wonder if other artists or like of all forms feel this way when they say the thing they are trying to say and it's done and it's on paper, to me, I'm like, okay, next. And so it's funny with music that you're then like for, a year and a half after the fact, like really still living in those stories. I think I love that the stories that I got to live in for the past year were ones that, obviously in the ways that you've said, did change so much, and also other things not at all. And that, like, Audrey and I made so much of the album together. Aaron and I made the whole album together. These are like dear friends.
And memories.
And memory. That's the thing. It's like, anytime I feel like, whenever I'm not tapped in directly to someone in the audience and like seeing the experience they're having and guessing things about their relationships based on the lyrics that they're like really emphasizing or whatever, if I'm not there, I will be thinking of like, that was a great day at Long Pond, or like Audrey and I cried through that one, or whatever the thing is. It was like, that's just such a gift to have made it with people that like outside of the like work. Those are the people I would want to be talking shit with anyway.
She's such a real one. How can you not enjoy talking shit with her?
I mean, know. She's just... all the conversations you guys have had, I'm like beaming.
She's amazing.
She's amazing.
She's amazing. And I think about the way that people, and when you watch this Apple Music Live, you'll see the way that the songs come to life and how the audience is like, I mean, in a way, and I mean this from a rhythmic and sort of storytelling point of view, I mean, they're rapping these lyrics at each other. They're just like, they're literally like,
I think the internet would disagree with you.
No, I understand, but that's why I prefaced it. But like,
it's very animated.
It's such vivid storytelling that when people sort of sing them back, it's not like they're singing them back at you. They're totally singing them at each other and what they're going on in their life. And there's moments when it cuts back to you and you are just like unapologetically joyous at witnessing this. I can just tell when you're singing, you're watching the way everyone's doing it and just like, oh my gosh.
It's happy. It's interesting. It's like that, the secret of us is there's some, it's very bright sounding often. Like it is, obviously most of the songs are like strummers. There's something about the whole thing that is brighter than yes, it was, I think, a very well concentrated version of the time period we were writing about. I also know for a fact that there's a kind of extroverted quality in the album that is very much brought out historically by like my relationship with Audrey. Our friendship has always activated this side of my personality that like around other people it isn't turned on in the same way. And so for us to have had this, a handful of months, where we would like weave in and out of songs, to then hear that sort of in the music was super interesting, because the reality of like who I am is a bit darker than how the album sounds, I suppose, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And so that's something I just know to be true. And so when you're out touring, life is happening every day between shows off stage, and then you get on stage, and sometimes it can feel harder to access
that place.
Even if like the lyrical content is a little darker or sadder or whatever, there's something even just about the sound and the way that it feels and the kind of resonance.
Tempo and it's dynamic.
Right. And it can feel challenging to be like, I believe me. But when I'm seeing other people do it, that is what makes me feel.
That's why I feel Death Wish was so perfectly placed in the set list, because it allowed you to just sink into the piano space. And the way that the lights go dark, and obviously people then immediately pull the lights out.
Taylor Glatt and Michael Brown.
You feel through the support and collaboration of these people who get this, you look supported in that moment, because up until that moment, it's really just about facilitating and creating a vibe between you and the crowd, and everyone's having their moment. This is the secret of us. The secret of us is you and I always thought it was you and Audrey. This is the secret of our little chats, right?
Totally, yeah.
Everyone's like, oh, who's it about? This is about the two people who wrote it, right?
Yes.
But all the fans are like, no, it's the secret of us, my best friends, our secrets.
Very sweet.
Death Wish is a really important song because it's where you get to explore a bit more of that darkness.
Yeah.
And disappear into the darkness, literally.
Yeah. Wrote that after this album.
That's
Wrote
right.
that while
That's right.
we were touring this.
Which is not, doesn't surprise me. It's a kind of natural reaction to the brightness in a way.
Exactly. And I think it's like, you know, I've been writing alone a lot, and there's like parts of yourself, again, people bring out different qualities in all of us, and it's exciting to me to see how that is reflected in how things sound. Like, I think Death Wish, even the deluxe songs on this album, aside from That's So True, which again sort of totally makes sense within the context of the other songs, it like feels very much like Audrey and I together. But like I Told You Things, which is I think my favorite song on the album and also my favorite moment in the show. That song and Death Wish, it's interesting making all the things that we're making now. Those two songs have been such clues ultimately into what this next chapter feels like. And I am enjoying it very much because it feels like a returning to kind of what, you know, the feelings that I know have historically compelled me to write songs that like
intimacy.
Yeah. And like a
because that's what writing on your own is, right? It's the ultimate intimacy.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think it's like, you could apply this to any, again, like it can be absolutely unrelated to like work of any kind, but just like everyone as we're like living for the first time, we're all like here for the first time and like very much earning all of these lived experiences that I'm starting to see like inform the person I want to be.
Interesting.
The way that like I think the past year and change, like you said, it's not like it's been an overnight kind of a situation, but I do feel like a lot of bucket list moments have been checked off in almost like what feels like a sort of fast track.
Yeah.
Just it's been like a busy year.
That's how it happens, right? Tipping point, and then all of a sudden it's like Red Rocks, MSG, Lollapalooza, Glastonbury.
It's stupid. It's like in the best, like it's dumb in a great way. But I think in the face of these moments that you anticipate for years, there's something interesting that happens, I think, when you're in those moments. And then now when I'm like in this period of beginning to reflect on it all, you're like kind of radar sharpens around what feels like you or what feels not like you. Or like, I think it becomes, and I think with all this new music.
That's the spell breaker, right? When you're making something new, it drags you away from that, whether you want to or not.
I do think that with everything that like looks so shiny and that you think is going to feel so good, actually, it doesn't always feel so good. And I think just taking note of what about Hyde Park, for example, really felt, and that was one of my favorite days ever.
It's a spectacular environment.
Just like to see Noah and that crowd, obviously playing to the crowd was really trippy. Yeah. Like you feel like you've never seen that many people in the way that it was just so expansive.
It's so flat, that's why.
You know, it was so sick. Yeah. You could like, based on the way that people's hands were moving, you could understand how the sound was traveling. Like, it was just amazing. It was amazing.
The frequency of energy. You get it. No, you're right. Because normally there's contours and angles and things around you. In arenas, it's like, okay, this is purpose built.
Yeah.
And not for music. None of these places were built for music. You know, Red Rocks though, yes. You know, you got this great environment. But when you're at Hyde Park, it is like, it just goes on forever.
Yeah, it was just wild. I had never seen anything quite like that before. It was really amazing. But anyway, point being, I think I'm having an interesting like
what do you want to take with it?
Yes. Where I'm just like, okay, XYZ actually did not suit me, even though I thought it might, and a lot of other people thought it would. I'm like, that doesn't actually feel like me. So right now, I think, and it's that weird thing, I think, when you're like being perceived at all. Again, we all have this, regardless of if you're doing something public facing or not. It's like people in your life are looking at you. People make assumptions about you all the time. And I think it can feel intimidating or odd to like try to authentically evolve into the person you like start to feel, like you can feel it like bubbling under your skin a little bit. And I'm having a nice time right now translating that into music that I do think feels very different from Secret of Us. So it's nice to be talking to you in this moment. And I think like the Red Rocks show so perfectly encapsulates what the tone of the album was, what you're describing, like the way that people are so physically invested in the lyrics, for example. That's how Audrey and I were when we were writing them. And so it feels nice to personally start living in a different universe a bit. But I will like absolutely for the rest of time remember this year as a turning point for even how I started to like let myself experience other people's adopting of the album.
It just sounds to me from this conversation like even only a drop in the ocean from where you were and all of the controlled chaos of tour. The idea of like, you're going to be on time, you're going to be mic'd up, same person's going to be there making sure you're good, inner ear works, everything's cool. The rest of it is just who knows.
Right.
Right? And you're only a few weeks out of that, yet it feels like you're already getting a really healthy grasp on, to your point, like, what am I taking with me from that? You know, identity is always changing, and that is a big influence on anyone's identity when you go out there and play in front of tens of thousands of people every night. Like, you could get lost in that feeling quite easily. It sounds to me from what you're saying like you're quite happy to let that be and just find yourself again, just be in your own space again.
I think everything feels very amplified by the times we're living in, but I struggle to think about the concept of like more noise without knowing what I want to say.
Oh, well said.
And I think
well said.
When
we don't need
you're,
that. No one needs any more of that.
No, and I think when you're like on the kind of hamster wheel of what touring and like promo in that way ultimately actually is, there's not so much room to actually, like, okay, this is just the truth about me. Like, historically, I will go into sort of like these numbing cycles or like a little bit like dissociative states in order to feel like I can sustain, like in downtime, for example. I'll try to like really decompress by like trying to numb out somehow sometimes so that I have the energy to like keep going. Because ultimately it's been like a 4-year nonstop tour, even though it's been broken up by different like cycles, it's like been nonstop. And feel aware of like, I don't want to keep doing that. And now that this is like a true break between this album and the next, I feel really, really, really clear that like there's so much for me to like read and watch and just to be like actually not on stage.
Which is all consuming.
Yeah, it totally is. And I don't even think it like is in all the ways that people assume, but it just, there is, in order to keep going, you sometimes have to white knuckle it in a way, even when you fucking love it so much. Yeah. And even when like I can't, the touring crew that I get to work with, we started out as a 6-person crew. All of us except for one person is still there, but now we're like 95 people. And all of them are exceptional human beings. Like, I get that version, and still, it can be like hard to return to yourself, I suppose. And so I guess in beginning to do that, it's becoming, even having the time to figure out how to articulate that thing in a way that feels like accurate to the feeling and not like a complaint, because it's not a complaint. It's like, I feel like in the music I'm writing right now is almost like this weird sort of like diagnosis of what it feels like when you don't really get off the ride for a while. And I'm enjoying just being here right now. Yeah.
It's not a complaint at all. I'm really here for these kinds of conversations. I think the more that we can better understand without destroying the mystery of it, which belongs to the frequency and the energy and the spirit of creating art, which is something else altogether. You'll never understand it. I realized probably only recently to stop trying. But to better understand what goes into the life around that, the pressures of going out there and realizing that every single person who holds a ticket in their hand wants a memory that they'll never forget.
And they deserve that.
And they deserve it.
Yeah.
We deserve it as fans.
Yeah, 100%.
And you deserve the right to be able to give it to us because you have this gift that you've worked incredibly hard to build up to a place where it becomes shareable on a massive level. And so it's like, that's all great, but then it's almost like we check that conversation at the door as just a trade, and it's not.
Yeah.
It should be, we should explore it at the risk of people thinking you're complaining, which
well,
you're
no,
not.
But what I'm actually saying is that it's I just to be clear, it's like, it's what I feel like again, it's like the saying some noise without actually, without a point or like without a perspective or without like consideration. It's like my fans who do deserve the best possible version of an experience because they've spent their money on a ticket, they've spent their time getting to the venue, traveling from like near and far. They like
their friends
get
recommended
dressed,
you.
They care. They like buy product.
Yeah.
They like they care. They deserve an album from me that is thoughtful. And in order, I think that's the thing that I mean sort of is like I want for everyone involved. Selfishly, I want it because I want to believe in the thing that I'm putting out. Like I want to, with my chest, be like this. And I haven't always felt that way. I'm starting to feel that way, and that is the thing that makes me so fucking excited to get back out when it's time.
Yeah.
But like I think because of how like the consumerism works and like the machine of the industry and like the pressures of like all of the things, that actually like when you're on tour and you're kind of living in that world, it doesn't, for me at least personally, like I have found it hard to be generative in a way that I actually am caring about the things that I'm writing. I'm starting to, again, literally just like a month off. And so it feels exciting. It feels like...
You need alone time, right? That's what you're saying.
Yeah, it's just, I suppose it's very simple. Like all of us, you can apply this to anything. I do think it's like, whether it's an album for an audience or just like behavior, the way you want to be for the people in your life. I'm like, I don't want to give anyone a half-assed version. Like, I feel like I have been learning so much through the people that I've been lucky enough to, you've been so generous, like everyone at Apple, like I'm like truly in terms of supporting me and my work, everyone at the label, everyone, all of my family and my friends, everyone who's like actually invested. It's like, I want to know myself so that I'm contributing to your lives as best I can in the way that you all contribute to mine. It's just like, I just want to be centered in it, and I want to not like without understanding my perspective. And
I feel like it's always been that way. With listening to you find yourself in your early songs and then realize your relationship with Audrey and bring that to life in such a brilliant way, that album will forever belong to the people and to you as this beautiful timestamp of that moment when the two of you were just bouncing, I'm sure literally off each other.
Yeah, literally.
Trying to write this stuff.
I know.
And now you're here, we have this live performance, which will, as we've said, exist forever. And it's so beautiful. It's such a beautifully captured moment from top to bottom. And yet you're here and you're, wasting no time, coming straight off the road into a new creative cycle, a new creative experience for yourself. No break. By choice, I'm assuming.
Yeah, totally. But I do think it's also like, it doesn't feel, it sort of has a, like, it's been appearing in a way. And I think so much of that is working with, Aaron and Bella, who were like a unit with always, but they are like family now, where it doesn't feel to me like I'm stepping off that ride and then like...
Well, let's talk about the ride for a second, right? Because people will probably assume that you going straight from touring to making new music is some kind of like and I mean this fully tongue-in-cheek, but also literally, some kind of, it's all contractual, right? You've got to make another album, so off the road, you're a little bit late. Come on, we need a Gracie album, first quarter 2026, all that shit, right?
Yeah.
And
it's not that.
It's not that.
I've been awful, I think, probably to... Yeah, I've not not been fulfilling the wishes of.
So let's talk about the purpose for this, right? Which is, I guess what I'm asking. Yeah, I guess I'm asking you. This is selfish, right?
Yeah.
This is this is acting as a part of your process, not a part of the
This has legitimately nothing to do with anyone else.
Like you.
Yes, this feels to me like the thing that when I was. Yeah, this is the when you're just like compelled, you're like I have to because I feel a little bit.
I got to get back.
Uneasy, or I feel like this one feeling is really loud to me, which probably means I need to write about it in order to kind of process it more, because that's just the way that I have
New
operated.
Feelings or some form of reaction to like, that changed my life. I've got to know there's life after this. I've got to keep moving. Is it a bit of both?
It's like right now it feels like a response to being like a person on the planet when the tone is what it is. It feels like being like, yes, totally kind of grappling with the parts of getting a lot of what you've been working for and it not sitting right always with you. It feels like it's also, I'm trying to just like metabolize all of it, I suppose, at the moment. And it feels really nice to start to say it, because I think it's like also being 26 and like loving the work that I get to do so much, and also having an imagination for more. Like I want, being in that weird place where it's like, I don't want to have kids right now, but like one day I so want that. Or like, do you know what I mean? There's like kind of this like in between feeling like knowing how young I am, and also feeling like I'm starting to really like what I've learned from the people I trust and love and artists who I respect and admire and study. Like it feels like it's just beginning to come into focus in a way where I feel less like frantic or restless about having to do anything about it. I'm kind of like, I can hear all of these voices and know that that doesn't mean I need to react to something right now. And yes, obviously it's like we were saying, it's like right off tour into the studio, but it's not like, it's because I want to just, I don't want to go back on tour right now. I don't want to go back on tour tomorrow. Like I want to just start to try to, articulate all of this and be super patient. Like I have no idea when it will. I have no idea. I just know that it feels really nice to start to understand the past year, etc.
Do you feel now that people will see you as, I mean, all right, let's just put it in some kind of jigsaw order or frame of parts. There's Gracie, performer, live performer, human being now, all of it rolls up into Gracie, the artist, the identity, which every artist has to accept at some point. If you become successful enough or reach enough people, then people put you on t-shirts and that, all the stuff is an identity. But really, isn't this just about getting back to who you really are, which is a songwriter? Isn't it just you as a kid in your bedroom before anyone even knew you were writing songs, quietly doing it yourself?
Yeah, and it's like, yes, and all of the other parts that I feel are informing, that like, child version of me. I'm like, I do feel like that instinct is still there, and I think you sometimes, like I go through these like dips of being like, I'm never gonna write a song again. Like it'll never happen. Or like when I get stuck, sometimes I feel like absolutely, it's like doomsday.
God, that's the worst voice. That's the
crazy.
Worst, that's the worst
but then
voice.
It just does happen again.
Yeah.
And I think the relief of that is so, it just can't be underestimated. Like,
yeah.
And then again, like what you're saying about like faces on t-shirts and shit like that. It's like, I think I'm choosing to like just pay attention, I think, to the people who, like I want feedback. I love feedback, but I think there's like a difference between feedback from people who are invested in your growth or people who are invested in chopping you up into little tiny pieces and
noise.
It's actually like starting to become, I think, easier. I think the less I don't have like any social media on my phone. This is like the first week in a long time that I've done that. And it is, I think, not a coincidence that I'm like in here loving the things that I'm making and also feeling like less shaky inside and more so like I'm able to actually hear myself. And so my plan is to kind of stick with that, at least like through this album cycle, the process of making it. Because I think, again, when you're sort of on autopilot in these ways, you can check out to what feels good or not. And I'm so curious for myself, like what an album will sound like if I'm sort of acknowledging what hurts and just deciding that I don't need to like live there. I'm like, oh, what might I be after? So I'm excited, but yeah.
What's it like when you sit behind an instrument now and it's not strapped to you with a mic and a cord stuck to it and everything else? And it's just you and the piano and it's
so
just
nice.
you and the guitar.
It's so nice.
Does it speak to you different than how, like, when you sit down to kind of try to bring something that you feel to life into form versus previous times, if you can kind of categorize them as that? Is there a different relationship? Is there a better understanding between you and the instruments now that you kind of know that you guys can travel the world together and you can reach a lot of people together and that you understand each other?
I don't think that that's where my head goes. I think it's like, I mean, the way I feel about instruments on stage is not so dissimilar to how I feel about instruments off stage, which is like this kind of security blanket. I think on stage it's amplified actually because I'm not a fucking dancer. I'm not like, I like to try to get as close to everyone as I can, but I'm, again, like I didn't grow up on stage ever. I hadn't played a show ever prior to, COVID. Like it was literally, my first show was after quarantine was lifted. And
I remember going to a King Princess show.
Yeah. Oh my God, I remember that.
Yes.
That's so weird. I remember her stage design. I remember that little weird.
Yes, and we were and you were with us because two of my best friends were working with you at the time.
Yes.
And so you came through. And do you remember you were underage?
Yeah, absolutely.
You had fake ID. And then you were like, what if they check me? I just want to see the show. I just want to see the show.
I was dying to see her.
I think you were like maybe 18 or 19 at the time. And everyone was just like, I don't know, you'll be okay. I mean, you've got fake ID, you'll be fine, right? It's cool. And when you got in, you were like, oh my God. And you were so hyped. You were so hyped. And I remember you coming out.
Michaela, like, so.
And I remember you came out. Well, after the show, I remember hearing that you were just so inspired because you hadn't done a show.
No, I remember that. I loved the room. It was like a cozy room.
Yeah.
But obviously she just owned it. And I remember thinking like, it's just, you have this one. I have like a handful of those moments with artists who are like, my age, who are coming up. That was like I was just like really bowing down to how evolved and developed everything she was making felt, that it really did move me so much. But yeah, I again, like that was never, 2021 was the first show we played.
Crazy.
2021? Yeah, 2022, 2021.
Wow.
And so anyway, so about the instruments piece, for me, it's a security blanket because I'm like, I don't know what to do with my hands when I'm not holding a guitar or when I'm not.
Ricky Bobby, literally?
Yeah, I'm just like, I think, again, it's like the more embodied you become in the thing that you're doing, like the easier it's all training.
But it's really endearing because it's authentically you. It's not like you're...
I'm not, like, I legitimately... I think it's also because I'm writing all the songs that I'm playing.
Yes.
So it's like, it feels weird to me often to sing something when I'm not actually playing it the way that I wrote it. That's just my version.
It looks, it's amazing what you brought to life in such a relatively brief period of time. And I'm kind of over the obsession with time. It's like, if it happens in a year, it happens in a year. It happens in 10 years, it happens in 10 years. It happens when it happens.
But it's always 10 years. Do you know what I mean?
Yes. It just is.
Like, no, I mean, maybe not, but like everyone's been writing songs in their room since they were fucking 5 years old or whatever the thing is. It's like, you know, a lot of people who had that impulse were then also on stage and have been training on stage. Mine was the opposite, as you know. It was like, I'm trying to be as quiet as possible. I'm trying to not talk to people and instead write it down and not be heard. So I've kind of been having this like interesting, like, I feel like a late bloomer in the like stage presence world. And I think that obviously there's so much about that I've learned to really love. Cause I think, you know, like there are lots of people in our crowds that are like very introverted that maybe like wouldn't typically feel down to like scream amongst strangers. But like there is something that I think there's like a through line in the sort of like sometimes feeling uncool, feeling like insecure, feeling all of the human things we all experience. Like I think that there's something like mildly, I'm starting to learn how to like cheat out, you know what I mean? But I think my impulse historically has been like a little bit like turn into myself. And that obviously feels counterintuitive to being on a stage, but I think I'm you know, I feel very grateful to the people that have shown up and filled these rooms.
I'm so glad that we got to play a role in this at Apple and to get cameras at Red Rocks and just capture it. And it is just so perfect. I mean, it is beautifully directed.
Yeah, they killed it.
You know, the way that they just capture you before you go on and you walk out. It's almost like there's no audience there, and then you suddenly remember that there's like thousands of people in the most picturesque venue ever. But when they capture you in this like close-up environment, it's so intimate between the people who are watching it at home and you. It's not like, all right, everybody in the back.
No,
it's like it splits between the two really beautifully.
Thank you.
And you and the band perform just perfectly. So we got it. It exists. It's on Apple. Proud to say that.
But pre this, you know, I'm sure you guys get told this all the time, but it feels, you don't like expect that doing like promo or any kind will feel good. Me, and you guys are just the most supportive and like generous with the way you, because the thing that I love about the way that this was captured is it really felt, it felt like how it feels for me to be there. Do you know what I mean? So I think that there's like something really special that you guys tap into where you know what's important to the people that you're supporting along the way. And I, you know, this being the latest iteration of it, I've felt it for the past 4 years from you guys. So I really appreciate it very much.
Oh, we love you, Gracie.
Love you.
We're looking forward to the next one.
Same. But
speaking of which, I gotta go.
I know. Time to record a song. Thank you so much.